Yes, good morning, Muhassina. So, my dear ones, we just discussed different functions of education: socialization, social control, social change, social transformation, social reformation, economic development. Now, we are going to enter another function of education. And this function, we need some time for discussing this function of education or this purpose of education. It has got different dimensions, it has got different aspects. In a nutshell, or in a single term, we can just tell cultural functions of education. When we talk about the cultural functions of education or cultural purposes of education, or the cultural role of education, we should discuss two general categories. First one, the cultural functions of education, or the cultural enrichment of some cultural aspects. And the second general aspect is a removal of some cultural issues. There are different cultural issues. And this topic will be coming again during your fourth semester, but we have to discuss here. So when we talk about the cultural functions, first we have to look at the enhancement of some cultural processes, and after that, removal of cultural issues. During the first semester itself, you heard some cultural functions, some terms. Do you remember any term related to culture? When we were talking about the social diversity in India, we just mentioned some cultural process. Do you remember anyone? Yes? Does anyone of you remember any term related to culture? If you are not able to tell, then just type.
Culturally responsible pedagogy.
Yes, culturally responsive pedagogy. Yes, it's done right. Yeah. That is some pedagogy which we are using in the diversity.
Cultural pluralism.
Yes, cultural pluralism. So you have heard that. Yeah. So now I'm going to utter some terms related to culture. Preservation of culture, conservation of culture, yeah. Preservation of culture or conservation of culture, transmission of culture, transformation of culture, diffusion of culture, enculturation, occulturation, these are some terms related to culture. And there are some cultural issues, some problems. Cultural lack, cultural conflict. And related to the issue of cultural conflict, you can see cultural pluralism. So I just listed some terms. Sometimes you can guess, or you can make an intelligent guessing by looking at the terms itself. Because the terms itself define. The terms itself tell you what these processes are. Yes, preservation of culture, conservation of culture, enculturation, occultation, transmission of culture, transformation of culture, diffusion of culture, cultural fusion. So just think. Again, I may repeat. Just keep all these terms in your mind and just ask your mind. Just look at the terms. You will be able to define preservation of culture, conservation of culture, enculturation, occultation, transmission of culture, transformation of culture, cultural fusion, diffusion of culture. Yeah. Then comes the issues: cultural land, cultural conflict. And before that, before talking about different aspects, different processes or cultural processes, we should talk what culture is. What is culture? Maybe I might have defined this term during the first semester when I was talking about culturally responsive pedagogy. I do not remember whether I mentioned it or not. What is culture? Anyone can tell what culture is, and if you're not able to tell, just type it in the message box. What is culture? What do you mean by culture? Yeah.
Culture. ഒരു പ്രദേശത്തുള്ളവരുടെ ഭാഷാരീതിയും വസ്ത്രധാരണവും ജീവിത രീതിയും അവരുടെ ആഹാരവും ഇതൊക്കെ ഒത്തുചേർന്നിട്ടുള്ള ആ ഒരു സ്ഥിതിഗതികളെ പറയുന്നതായിരിക്കില്ലേ അവരുടെ കൾച്ചർ?
Yes, you're right. In simple words, the lifestyle of a particular society, it is culture. And as you thought, yes, just been it's an accurate answer. Wonderful answer you have given. I appreciate your commitment to tell the answer, to give the answer. Yeah.
Thank
In
you.
a very simple manner, we can tell culture is the lifestyle of a particular community. And when you define it, you can include all these aspects given by Chesterton. Culture is the sum totality of the lifestyle of a society, which includes their language, their dress code, their food, or the style of food, their customs, beliefs, norms, regulations, rituals, instruments, vessels, each and everything. Then there are two types of culture. Again, I do not know whether I mentioned this one: material culture and non-material culture. Did I mention this one during the first semester?
Yes, sir.
Yes, material culture and non-material culture. Material culture, you know, the instruments, the weapons, the vessels. Yeah, these are some material culture. And non-material culture are language, rituals, then customs, rules, regulations, norms. Yeah. And see, this is actually culture. But people often define, or people often accept culture in a different manner. See, if we see a man who has got some skin of animals as his dress, we tell, see, there is a cultureless man. Actually, this is not right. This statement is a false statement because that is his culture. I might have told this one also to you. And that is the difference between civilization and culture. If a person travels on a bullock track, a bullock cart, or on a horse cart, we can tell that he hasn't got civilization. We cannot tell that he is a cultureless man. And civilization is refinement in culture. God, civilization is refinement in culture, purification of culture, or modifying the culture by accepting some modern trends, or modifying the culture by accepting the changes which had there in the life of human beings after some social processes. Culture means samskaram, civilization means parishkaram. If some people are still living by following some lifestyle, some culture which had been there during the ancient period, or during the period when people were living in forest, or when people were living in some caves, then we call them uncivilized. We cannot tell cultureless. We may tell uncivilized. And this is the difference between culture and civilization. Culture is the sum totality of the life of a particular community. And civilization is refinement in that culture, modifying the culture of a particular society by accepting some modern trends, or nagarikata in number, some characteristics of human life after the emergence of this civilization and such things. That is civilization, civilized society. We call them civilized society. Then if this is the difference between culture and civilization, the first function of education is nothing else but what? What? Yes, tell me. The first cultural function of education would be? Yes? Nothing else but? Anyone? See, even if you are living without any change in your traditional culture, without any change in your uncivilized native culture, then that means education hasn't done its function. So, what is the first cultural function of education?
Transformational function.
That is refinement, that is the civilization. Yeah, the first cultural function of education is to bring civilization. So education should be capable of creating civilized societies. Even after getting education, even after getting modern education, if the people are living just like they were living in forests, just like they were living in the barbarian age, just like they were living as an ethnic community, that means modern education has in turn its true function. So civilization is the first cultural function of education. That means refinement in the case of culture, refining the culture, purification of culture. or bringing the modern elements to the culture. That is civilization. Yes, got the idea? Then comes preservation of culture, conservation of culture, transmission of culture. Before these terms, I may introduce before you two terms, enculturation and occultation. English students must be able to realize the difference. Yes, ensure. I think you know the difference between the words where we use N, E-N, and the word where we use A. For example, ensure and assure. Yeah. Yes. So, what is the difference between enculturation and occultation? Can anyone tell me? Enculturation. Ensure, assure. What is the difference between ensure and assure? Yes, anyone from English? What is the difference between ensure and assure? I'm going to tell you in Malayalam. Ensure means urappu edukkuka. Assure means urappu kodukkuka. What is the difference? Ensure means to confirm yourself. Yeah. To make it show yourself. Assure means to tell someone else that it is sure. Yes, is it right? Yes. എൻ്റെ പേന ബാഗിൽ തന്നെ ഉണ്ട് എന്ന് ഞാൻ ഉറപ്പുവരുത്തി. I ensure. I have ensured that my pen is in my bag. I assured him that I would give him my pen. And this is the difference. And similarly, enculturation and occultation. What is it? Can you guess some terms related to
enculturation? It's about it's personal, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Personal means accepting your own culture. Yes.
Culture. Yes.
Accepting your own culture means accepting the culture of your community. From where? Yes, during your childhood days, actually, enculturation, of course. Yes, am I right?
Yes, internalizing the cultural aspects of community we are living in.
Yeah, internalizing our own culture or the culture of our community by observing the activities of our parents and some others in the community. Yeah, right? Yes. Enculturation is the process of acquiring the culture of one's own society or community by observing the activities of our parents or community leaders and by following the instructions given by the parents and community leaders. That occulturation is the process of modifying the culture by adding some more elements later, maybe by accepting some cultural elements of other cultural entities, other groups. Yes, enculturation is internalization, occulturation is modifying. And see, enculturation occurs through some informal educational agencies like family and community. We will talk more about these informal agencies during the fourth semester. So enculturation occurs from our community or our home. We see something done by our parents, some of our community leaders. And when we attend some marriage functions of our own community, we see all these items there. Yeah. Then, where does acculturation start? See, there are different agencies of education: family, peer group, then school, community, then government. These are different social agencies of education. And we will discuss all the items related to such social agencies during your fourth semester. So see, from family actually inculcation, of course, and again from peer group, your local peer group will be from your community. Yeah, most of your local peer group, most of the members of your local peer group, yes, generally would be from your own community. So there is no acculturation. So acculturation starts at where? Yes?
Schooling, school.
School. Acculturation starts at school. Yeah, when you reach school, or when you reach educational institutions, as we told during the first semester, you can see a diversified society. You can see students from different cultural backgrounds. So you have to mingle with them. And when mingling with them, maybe unintentionally, maybe naturally, you will start accepting some elements of the culture of your friends, your classmates. So this acculturation starts at school. And see, this acculturation will be an after effect of your reading. You're learning more items. For example, at school, you will start learning some poems. You will start learning some process, different language items. And language is a representation of a culture. So when you start learning something in English language, actually you're accepting some culture of the English people. That means you're modifying your language and you start speaking a language. This influence you can see in your mother tongue too. Okay. After going to some English medium schools, you can realize, you can recognize a person whether he got his school education in an English medium school or whether he got his school education in a Malayalam medium school just by listening to his or her Malayalam mother tongue. Because the influence of English language can be seen when some people are using their mother tongue as well. And an aspect or a sort of acculturation occurs there. So enculturation is there. Enculturation is the process of acquiring our own culture, and acculturation is modifying the culture by adding more elements, maybe by accepting some elements from other cultures. Then I may present before you the other terms: preservation of culture, conservation of culture, transmission of culture. What do you mean by preservation of culture? And do you believe that preservation of culture and conservation of culture are same? Yes. Are these two terms same or different? Yes. Preservation and conservation. Anyone, please?
I think it is separate.
Yeah, this still tells these are two different terms. Anyone else? Preservation and conservation. Or are these two terms same or different? Yes, let's look this here.
I
Anyone
think the
else?
word preservation,
Same അല്ലേ?
preservation denote what we have already, but conservation has an more historical thing is attached to conservation, I think.
Remit has got it. Remit tells that there is a slight difference, and Asia told, these are same. Actually, these terms are same because conservation and preservation are synonyms, and conservation and preservation mean safeguarding. So conservation of culture or preservation of culture is the process of safeguarding or protecting the culture of one's own community without getting degenerated, without getting destroyed. In Malayalam we tell Anyam ninnu pogade samrakshikkuka. Yeah, right? To make, to protect the culture of a particular community, to safeguard. That is preservation or conservation. Then what is transmission of culture? And tell me, how do you preserve your culture? How do you conserve your culture without getting destroyed? How can you conserve your culture? How can you preserve your culture? By keeping
Leaving generation.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. It is not by keeping your culture in a shelf. Yeah, it is not by keeping the cultural elements in your shelf, but it is by handing over the culture from the older generation to the new generation. And this process is known as transmission. Transmission. There is a difference between transmission and transformation. Transmission of culture is the process of handing over the culture of a particular society to from the older generation to the new generation. For what? For conserving that culture. So these are all similar process, but when you define, you have to define by using different terms. Actually, we transmit our culture for preserving the culture or for conserving the culture. So conservation of the culture is to safeguard the culture by transmitting the culture from one generation to another generation. And transmission of the culture is the process of handing over the culture of a particular community from the older generation to the new generation for safeguarding the culture or for conserving the culture or the conservation of the culture or for the preservation of the culture. Then I may ask you, how does education help you in preservation of the culture? How does education help you in conservation of the culture? Yes. How can education help you in the process of conservation of the culture? Yes, can you tell me? See, we learn history, yes? We learn history. For what we are learning history? For what we are learning history? We learn history, Indian history. Yes, by teaching history, by teaching the poetry of a particular community, by teaching the stories, the folk songs, the literature in a particular language, you can preserve your culture. See, if you read some poetries written by some of your native writers, if you read some stories told by your ancestors, you can preserve your culture. In educational institutions or in formal educational systems, most of the countries teach the history of the particular nation, the traditional values of the particular nation, the traditional aspects related to the particular community or the society. Yeah, right? So by teaching history, by teaching some poetry, by teaching literature, by teaching politics, by teaching by teaching the agriculture of a particular society, you can conserve your culture, you can preserve your culture. Means the cultural aspects of the community might be, or maybe, or must be written. And when you teach such items to the new generation, the culture of your community is transmitted or handed over from the older generation to the newer generation. That means you're conserving your culture. So it is a function of education. And it should be a function of education, because Jawaharlal Nehru thought that change is essential, but continuity is also necessary. Yes, you have to accept changes. You have to modify your culture by accepting the virtues of the culture of others. But at the same time, you should be able to conserve. You should be able to preserve. You should be able to protect. You should be able to safeguard the basic elements of your own culture without getting degenerated. And that function should be done by education according to most of the people. So education helps you in conservation of the culture or preservation of the culture. And at the same time, education helps you modifying your culture if it is needed, when it is needed. Yes, got idea? Yes?
Yes, sir.
I think all of you are able to follow me. Yes, am I right? Am I right? You are able to follow me. Yes.
Sir.
So the first function, cultural function of education is civilization. Then preservation of culture or conservation of culture through transmission of culture. Okay. Through transmission of culture, you are preserving the culture or conserving the culture. And you are preserving the culture or conserving the culture through transmission of culture. Yeah, right? So these functions are there. Then what is cultural transformation? What is transformation of culture? Yes. What is transformation of culture? Yesterday we told, or last day we told about social transformation, and transformation is complete change. Yes. Transformation is complete change.
Radical change of the culture.
Yeah. And sometimes education helps transform the almost all the aspects of a particular culture. Maybe it is needed at times. Okay. If a particular society is following some barbarian culture, if a particular society is following some practicing some social evil, if there is some social anarchy, sometimes it should be transformed. And sometimes you may be asked a question, what is the difference between transmission of culture and transformation of culture? So you can just tell transmission of culture is handing over the culture of a particular community from one generation to another generation just for safeguarding or protecting or conserve safeguarding that culture without getting degenerated. And transformation of culture is complete change in the culture of a particular community, because Maybe because that particular community follows social anarchies, full of social anarchies, full of social evils. Maybe it's so. Sometimes it may be because of, it may be as a part of westernization. Yeah. Actually, this civilization is a sort of modernization. Another function of education is modernization. You can count modernization as a separate function of education. But as it is related to this one, I may just tell that one here. So I told you once, modernization is accepting. Modernization is the process of accepting the possibilities of modern science and technology, modern inventions, and modern trends in life in one's own day-to-day life situations. And westernization is the process of blind imitation of Western culture. And modernization is something important because you have to accept the possibilities of modern science and technology for making your life more better. Otherwise, people will call you barbarian. Yeah. Yeah. So this is important, this one. So sometimes cultural transformation is must, or education should transform the culture of a particular society completely if that particular community follows some social evils, if they are full of social evils, if they are full of social anarchy, if there is full of social injustice, then education should help that particular community to change the whole culture. But at times, cultural transformation occurs as a part of westernization, just for imitating the Westerners blindly. Then it becomes negative. It is considered as positive or negative on the basis of your intention. If your intention is to eradicate the social evils, the social anarchy, and the social injustice, then this cultural transformation becomes positive. But if your intention is just to imitate the Westerners, the culture of the Western country, without any use, by degenerating the virtues of your own culture, then that type of cultural transformation becomes negative. So this is cultural transformation. So education helps in cultural transformation. You have seen such cultural transformation in different countries. As we told yesterday, if you have to bring some cultural transformation, then there should be some individuals. Social transformation may be considered as a part of cultural transformation. If you have to bring some cultural transformation in your society, there should be some individuals who have got unprecedented courage, vision, philosophy, wisdom, communication skill, inspiration, capacity, and a sort of charismatic leadership or personality. So education helps you in cultural transformation. Then in neuter, I used a cultural diffusion or diffusion of culture. Diffusion of culture. What is diffusion of culture? Before a number of years, I happened to read a novel written by M. Mukundan, I think. He has written that novel. It's Nrittam. Yeah. I think Nrittam was written by M. Mukundan. Yes. There is a novel called Nrittam. Have you got an idea? Have you got an idea?
I haven't heard about that novel, first of all. I think.
Yeah, it
What
was
about it?
No, sir.
it was written by Mukundan, I think so. Yes. When I was a student of Sir Syed College, I think so. When I was a student of Sir Syed College, I just happened to read this novel at my hostel. Actually, I didn't take that book, but I saw the book. I had seen the book in the room of one of my friends, hostel mates, and I just read that book. Actually, I'm not a reader, voracious reader. I'm not reading much, but at times I read some books, and this book I read before a number of years. And the theme of that book is a dancer. The protagonist of that book, that novel, is a dancer from Kerala, and he becomes popular. And later he was taken to Germany, I think, to a European country, and he was able to spread that particular type of dancing, the dance form, in Germany and all over the world. The theme is something else, okay, but it's a part of that story. And this is a part of diffusion of culture. This is a part of diffusion of culture. Then what is diffusion of culture? Yes. What is
Process of spreading.
Yeah, process of spreading the culture of a particular community to a larger area. Yes. Process of spreading the culture of a particular community to a larger space, to a broader space. That is diffusion of culture. So nowadays, our Ayurveda got some popularity all over the world. See, here there is some PKM Ayurveda at Palampuramera. Yeah, if you walk to the college by using a shortcut, by going through the court road and just walk. We used to walk to Sir Syed College from Taliparamba by using that particular road. And there is PKM Ayurveda. Now I know some Europeans often come there for getting some treatment for back pain and something like that. And some medicines, some Ayurveda medicines which are being prepared, they are exported even to European countries. And nowadays, this Ayurveda has got some popularity, especially among the Europeans. Most of them are coming here for getting the Ayurveda treatment. And that means spreading the traditional culture to a larger area. And this function is known as diffusion of culture. So do you believe that education helps in diffusion of culture? Whether education should do so, whether it is a function of education. Yes? Right. Yes. Yeah. Yes, it is one of the functions. See, when you get education, sometimes you may be going for getting education outside your country. And when you go outside the country, sometimes your culture will be influenced there, or your culture will be spread in that area too. And sometimes when you get education out of the country, in a foreign country, when you come back, you will come back with some other culture, maybe accepting the virtues of some other culture. And see, as I told earlier, when we get education, formal education, we happen to read different stories written by some other people. Maybe when we learn something in English language, maybe when we learn something translated. And I have told you about The Alchemist, written by Paulo Coelho. I read the novel, the English version of that novel. and it is translated into Malayalam too. And see, even though we read some novels written in some other languages, so the translated version, then we are getting familiar with the culture of that writer. Paulo Coelho is not an English writer; he's a Brazilian, and he writes in the language which is used in the Brazil. And most of his novels are being translated or have been translated into different languages. I think The Alchemist has been translated into 40 languages. So, though we read the novel in English, in the translated version, we are getting familiar with the culture of Brazilian culture, because he is a part of Brazil. So when we get education, we come to learn literature of different communities, literature of different societies. And literature is a representative of the culture of a particular society. Yes, Jasil wants to tell something. Yeah, Jasil. Yeah, so very well. This diffusion of culture also is a function of education, because educated people spread their culture, their native culture. Yeah, educated people, because maybe some students, some people who went abroad might be told his friends about Ayurveda. Might be so. So education helps in popularizing the culture, your culture. So this diffusion of culture also is a function, but it should be a function of education. See, even after getting some education, if you are not able to spread your culture to a larger area, what is the use of education you get? That's a question. So you should be able to spread your culture. See, when you learn Arabic language, and if you write something in Arabic language, you should write about your culture. Then your culture will be popular in Arabian countries. And when you write something in English language, most of the Indians are writing in English language. Try to tell about your culture. See, there was a very beautiful novel written by Arundhati Roy, God of Small Things. Yeah. So it has got some charm, because you can see some basic culture of Kerala, and she has used some words as they are. Yeah, different words are there, Malayalam words, and I think these words have got some place in English dictionary. So your culture is spread. Your culture is being spread by getting education. Because when you get education, you start writing something. When you start writing something, you must be writing something related to your culture. Yeah. It is also one of the cultural functions of education. So civilization is a cultural function of education. Preservation of culture or conservation of culture is a cultural function of education. Then transmission of culture is a cultural function of education. Transformation of culture is a cultural function of education. Acculturation is a cultural function of education. Then comes this diffusion of culture is another cultural function of education. And one more term is the fusion, cultural fusion. Do you know what cultural fusion? What is this cultural fusion? Yes, mixing of two culture. Yeah, mixing of two culture is known as fusion, and that is actually acculturation. Modifying our culture by accepting the virtues of some other culture. So fusion, cultural fusion means acculturation. We are modifying our culture or we are mixing our culture, or we are making a synthesis between our culture and some other cultural elements from some other community. That is cultural fusion. Again, this is the function of education. So these are some general cultural functions of education. Yes, I think you will be able to define all these functions. Yes, I will be giving you some class in Malayalam later. So I know that some topics are remaining there to be explained in Malayalam. So I will do all the classes shortly when I get time for doing that. If I use English and Malayalam here, then the time is not enough for doing that. So we will not be able to cover some topics. So itself nowadays I'm not using mother tongue at times. So I'll be giving you some classes in Malayalam as recorded videos later. You just remind me, yeah. Then comes some cultural issues. One of the cultural issues is cultural lag. What is this cultural lag? What is this cultural lag?
Cultural lag is that it's a gap between material and immaterial culture or non-material culture.
Material and non-material culture. That means, though there are some scientific inventions, though there are some new facilities, some people will not be ready to accept these possibilities just because of their mistaken notions, just because of their ignorance, just because they are not ready to give up some materials related to their, or some instruments related to their culture. So this one should be removed. And see, it is the function of education to remove cultural lag. I told you that some people are not ready to accept the possibilities of modern science and technology just because of some superstitious beliefs, just because of some ignorance. For example, if some people are not using mobile phone even after the others started using it, that means it is because of the ignorance, lack of knowledge. So through education, you can make them aware that such instruments will be making their life more comfortable, more better. So education can provide more knowledge about new inventions. Education can remove superstitious beliefs. Education can remove the negative mentality of people towards the change. And by doing so, education can remove cultural lag, or it should be one of the functions of education to remove cultural lag, to eradicate cultural lag. Yeah. Then another cultural issue is cultural conflict. What is this cultural conflict? It is just opposite to the cultural pluralism. What is cultural pluralism? What is cultural pluralism?
Cultural pluralism is part of society where minority groups enjoy right to follow their cultural aspects without violate majority groups and accept the culture of minorities.
Yeah, you're right. Wonderful answer. Cultural pluralism is the state of society where the minority groups enjoy their right to follow their culture or their beliefs, their customs, their rituals. And the majority, the people who belong to the majority groups, accept some virtues of the minority culture. Then cultural conflict. What will be cultural conflict? I told you just opposite to cultural pluralism. It's an issue. What is it? Yeah. What is the cultural conflict? Just opposite to this. Yeah.
Non-acceptance of the minority group.
Yeah. The cultural conflict is the state of a society where the minority groups feel that.
Clash between minorities and majorities culture.
Yeah, that's right. That means the state of society where the minority groups of that society feel that their rights are violated by the majority groups. Actually, this is not physical clash. Okay, if there is physical clash, it will be over just after the physical clash is over. But when there is cultural conflict, the insecure feeling is there not only in the minds of the minority groups, but also in the minds of the majority groups. Why? Because the minority groups feel that they are not getting their right, they are not enjoying, they are not able to enjoy their rights to follow their customs, their regulations, their beliefs. At the same time, the majority groups will feel that the minority groups will come with revenge at any time. Because we are not, or because the majority groups are not allowing them to enjoy their rights. So this insecure feeling will be there. See, if you have got an enemy, you're a strong man. Even if you're a strong man, you will keep some alertness in your mind. Yeah, right? You will keep some fear in your mind. You're strong. Actually, you're stronger than your enemy. But the matter is that at any time, sometimes he may attack you by using some guerrilla attacking style. Maybe sometimes when you will be afraid that your enemy will be attacking you in the night when you're riding a bicycle or when you're riding a bike. This insecure feeling will be there. It is an after effect of cultural conflict. So cultural conflict is the tendency of the majority groups to impose their cultural aspects on the minority groups. And education should remove this cultural conflict. And it is this removal of the cultural conflict and bringing of cultural pluralism is another function of education. Education should spread fraternity among people. Education should make the people aware that though they have got difference in the case of religion, though they have got difference in the case of culture, as human beings, they are brothers and sisters. Education should teach biology. And when you learn biology, you will learn that though you are different in the external matters, though you are different in the case of ideologies, though you are different in the case of concepts, though you are different in the case of religious beliefs, the internal function of your body is same. The color of the blood which flows in your blood veins is same, that is red. When you are beaten, you feel the pain. Similarly, when the other is beaten, he feels the pain just like you feel the pain when you are beaten. The others feel that they are humiliated when they are insulted, when they are denied their rights. Just like you are humiliated, you feel that you are humiliated when you are denied your rights. Education should make the people aware of this universal reality. Education should create fraternity not jealous among different sections of society. So it's a function of education. It's a role of education. Educated people should not indulge in any sort of communal violence. But when you look at our community, when you look at the present community, you can analyze whether educated communities or educated people are indulging in communal violence or not. That's a question. If educated people are indulging in communal violence, if educated people are influencing for communal riots, it shows that the education you are giving nowadays is lacking something. It is not the true education. Education should spread fraternity. Education should spread love and affection. Education should spread humanity. If you are not ready to act, if you are not ready to allow your fellow beings enjoy their rights, that means you haven't got any humanity. So if educated people are doing so, that means education lacks humanity. So education should be able to make people humane. I think real human beings can never torture others just in the name of ideologies, just in the name of religion, just in the name of caste, just in the name of culture. So this is another cultural function of education. Removing cultural conflict and bringing cultural pluralism. So these are the cultural functions of education. The first part is some cultural functions, general functions, and the second part is removing some cultural issues. So if you ask a question, what are the different cultural functions of education? I think you come back and say, yeah, right? Have you got the point? Yes? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So these are the cultural functions of education. Now, another function of education is that is social mobility. What is social mobility? Migration of some sections of society from one place to another. This is social mobility. Is it social mobility? Tell me. Is it social mobility? Travel from one place to another. Is it social mobility? Travel from one country to another. Is it social mobility?
No, social mobility is something related to the concept.
Yeah.
Like I think we can class sort of changing from one class to another.
Yeah.
This is an example of social mobility.
Changing from one class to another. Yeah, you're right, David. But I use instead of class, I use status, social status.
Yeah, status.
For example, in society, you can see rich people, middle class people, poor people. Yeah. Yeah, then you can see VIPs and such things. Okay. And social mobility is the process of having some change in the social position or status. For example, if a particular society, most of the members of a particular society are poor. And because of some internal or external factors, if they become rich people, most of them become rich people, it is social mobility. So social mobility is the movement of a particular section of society from some social status or position to another social status or position. So this is social mobility. For example, as I told, middle class people become rich people and poor people become middle class people and poor people becomes rich people. Yeah. Then the son or the daughter of a teacher becomes an engineer. Yeah. The status of an engineer and the status of a teacher is different in a society. Yeah. And this movement from one social status to another social status is known as social mobility. So social mobility is the movement of some sections of society from one social status or position to another social status or position. You can see horizontal mobility and vertical mobility. You'll tell it later during the first semester. Then, do you believe that education helps in social status, social mobility? Or should it be a function of social mobility? So, actually, I think education has brought changes. It has brought social mobility. If you look at our community, if you look at our society, it is visible. Okay. If you look at some North Indian states, and if you look at our state, well, if you look at Tamil Nadu, then you can see the difference because of education. It is said that it has been there because of education. Why does education bring social mobility? The first thing is that when you get education, you get a better job. When you get a better job, you get a better salary. When you get a better salary, your life becomes far more better. So education offers you better jobs, better employment opportunity, better employment chances. So it helps in social mobility. And you become rich on the basis of your status, whether you are economic or not. What is meant by economic? What is meant by becoming economic? To become economic is not become a billionaire. I mean, not getting more salary. Even if you are getting 1 lakh rupees a month, I mean 100,000 rupees a month, sometimes you may not deserve to be called economic. You become economic only when you are able to save something after a month. For example, if you get 1 lakh rupees a month, and at the end of the month or after 1 week, and he's able to save 5,000 rupees at the end of that month, he's economic. Yeah. So only when you become economic, you can change your status from middle class family to rich community. And it is said that educated people will be leading a calculated life, a well-calculated life. And this well-calculated life would help educated people to save money. At times I feel this is true because Before a number of years, I was traveling by bus. Sorry, I just traveled by a train, and I boarded at Payangadi railway station. And when I came out of the railway station to enter the bus, I saw a teacher who was from my native place, and he was working at Maturi. So he was standing there outside the railway station. Then I thought that he was coming from somewhere else, and I thought that he was also in the train. And I asked him, "Sir, where did he go?" Then he told me, "I'm coming from my home." Then I was confused because he was coming from my native place, that means Matamangalam. And usually we come to Parayangadi and then we board a bus, or we get in a bus from Parayangadi. No one would come to Parayangadi railway station and enter a bus which is going to Putiyangadi or Mattur. Then I asked him, "Sir, why did you come here? Why didn't you get out at Parayangadi bus stand?" Then he told me there is a difference in the stage. If I enter a Mattur bus from Parayangadi bus stand, actually most of the people will enter a Mattur bus from Parayangadi bus stand because Mattur buses are getting, I think you can see lots of people in Mattur bus. And if you are not entering Mattur bus from Parayangadi bus stand, you can never get a seat to sit. So I asked him, then he told me, actually there is a difference in the stage, and if I enter from Parayangadi bus stand, I have to pay 10 rupees to Mattur. And if I enter a Mattur bus from this place, that is from railway station bus stop, then I have to pay only 9 rupees. So he just came there just for saving 1 rupee. And this is a serious culture. This is a positive culture. So it is said that, I do not know whether it is in the case of all the people. It is not in my case, okay, because I haven't got any calculated life. So it is told that educated people will lead, or educated people often lead, a well-calculated life. So it helps them save some money, and it helps them get change in the social status. So by getting education, you will get a better job. By getting education, you will start living a calculated life. By getting education, you will plan. You will get a plan in your life. So education helps in social mobility, or it is one of the functions of social mobility. And see, even after giving education to people of your society, and if most of them are still living in a worse condition, if most of them are poor, even after getting education, it shows that the education lacks something. So social mobility is another function of education. Now the time is 10:56. Only 4 minutes are remaining. I don't want to continue the class. I just want to stop here. Thank you. Thank you very much. If you have got any doubt, you can ask me.